Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Steve Silberberg of Fitpacking.com. Steve, it is awesome to have you on the show.
I am so happy you asked me to come on. I'm honored.
Awesome. Well, what I wanted to do was just read a little bit about Steve and all the awesome things that he's doing. Hopefully, I haven't butchered your name too much, but what I want to do is introduce Steve. After a long career as a software contractor, it seemed long away. Steve Silberberg decided to toss aside nice things and financial security to start Fitpacking. Fitpacking takes people on backpacking adventures, vacations to get fit and lose fat. He says, taking people backpacking is no way to get rich, but I do live an incredible quality of life. So Steven, it is awesome to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCEO community?
I am ready.
Awesome. Well, what I wanted to do was just kind of give you the floor or the mic, so to speak, to see if there's anything additional that you wanted to tell us about your CEO story and what led you to kind of get started.
No, I wish I had some great story other than to say it's my life is, if not financially better now, it's much more rewarding.
Awesome. Yeah. And then, it's funny. A lot of times is like when we get closer, I think, to our purpose and what we should be doing anyways, then life gets a lot simpler and a lot easier, in my opinion. So it sounds like you might have had that same experience.
Yeah, actually, I will tell you an anecdote. So my father died when he was 53 or 54, but he just turned 54. And I was getting into my 40s, and I thought, if I only have 10 years left to live, what am I going to do with it? And so I decided to indulge myself for my passion for being in the wilderness and going backpacking. And I was able to turn it into a business and take people along with me.
Awesome. So I guess, sorry, obviously, to hear about your father, but a lot of times when things happen, true entrepreneur especially usually takes sometimes bad experiences and turns it into something. So it seems like you've been able to do that. So could you tell us a little bit more about like what you do from a Fitpacking standpoint?
So Fitpacking takes people on backpacking vacations. We go out to change. Our stated goal is to alter body composition, to lose fat, to lose weight, to get healthier, to digital detox, just to be out in the wilderness. And so we go to a lot of interesting places. I think they're interesting. National parks and forests. For example, we have a trip to Redwood National Park coming up in another week. We go to Mount Rainier, go to Yellowstone, go to Yosemite, Big Bend, Grand Canyon, Shenandoah. We hit a lot of the highlight parks that you've heard of, and maybe some places that you haven't heard of. Like we're going to Powell River, British Columbia in a couple weeks. Now, I want to say it's a panacea. It's just so amazing. People come on a trip, backpack, go to these wonderful areas, and then find out that they lost fat and that they're healthier. So that usually happens. In fact, most of the time, people lose typically about 5 pounds of fat in a week of backpacking. But I will say that it's not for everyone. I'm not trying to chase people away, but if you can't be without a Wi-Fi signal for a week, or if you can't be away from electricity and plumbing, it might not be for you.
Right. That's an important reminder to kind of keep in mind. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that say, oh, that sounds awesome. But then they're forgetting that they have to have their digital leash, I guess you can call it, on them at all times. So that makes perfect sense. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Fitpacking and ask you, what do you feel like makes your organization or your company unique?
We actually, so you can go to these. If you want to go backpacking, you can sign up for a trip to these adventure places that will say they're gung-ho. They say, we're going to hit every summit. We're going to hike 25 miles a day. We actually cater to people who are maybe not interested. Our hook is to get people to lose weight and to get fitter. So we have our daily mileages are less, are more moderate than other places. So more people can do it. Our trips are attainable by people who are less fit. And I think that's what differentiates us from the other outfitters. What differentiates us from the other weight loss places is we do it through activity, through exercise, almost exclusively, as opposed to restricting calories, which is, that works too. But It's no fun to starve yourself.
Not that I've heard, so that's that's a very good point. It's never fun to do that. So those are important points because I think a lot of times when people hear about, fit packing or backpacking or anything, they think they have to, have a CrossFit membership or something like that. But in reality, because you have that goal of helping people to become fit, a lot of people who may not be able to do that, they still have attainable goals, get to have fun and get to have that experience. So I think that's important to kind of keep in mind.
You know what? You would think that there'd be a lot of overlap between CrossFit and Fitpacking. We actually have a lot of the same ideas, but we don't typically get a lot of CrossFit people. Now you look like you're in pretty good shape. Do you do CrossFit or any other?
I don't, but I do work out on a regular everyday basis. I just ran a 10K.
Oh my God, awesome.
This weekend. So it hurt me more than I think I hurt it. So, but it happens sometimes.
Do you run all the time, or did you just go out and do that cold?
I started, the longest I ran a 10 miler, I want to say 2 years ago or last year. So that was my first time I ran. I never really liked to run, but I'm getting more into it. And I think as I'm getting older, it's probably one of the best things that I can do, not only from a physical standpoint, but also from like a mental standpoint. Just as usually when I have more stress, I do more running. I don't know if I'm running for health or I'm running away from my problems sometimes. But the important part is I have to always come back home. So it doesn't make a difference.
It's okay to do either.
There you go. So what I wanted to do was just kind of ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this is something that you might do on a regular everyday basis. It might be meditation. It might be an app, or it might be a book that you use on a regular everyday basis that you feel like makes you more effective and efficient as a CEO. So what would be your CEO hack?
It's kind of trite, but I say I scour the HAROs, the helper reporter out every single day and find anything and everything that's pertinent to the business, and even things that are not pertinent. Because if your business appears in the Romaine Lettuce Today blog, well, nobody's going to sign up for your trip or patronize you because you happen to be in this blog. But the Google crawlers and all the SEO index that and say, oh, he's in the Romaine Lettuce blog. I guess that's a computer voice, but they see that you've got all these placements, and then they ascribe you more importance. So that's my hack.
No, that's a great hack, and that's actually how we connected. We featured you on one of our roundups, and we had the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about some of the awesome advice that you had. So that's a phenomenal hack. Anybody that's looking to try to publicity or notoriety, but keep in mind it also provides a lot of SEO benefits as well.
It does.
And the next thing that I wanted to ask you was a CEO nugget, and this might be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice that you might have for other CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners.
Well, so one of the things is to hear some entrepreneurs tell it, it's all great. Everything, like you should drop whatever you're doing in order to start your own business because it's going to be great and successful. But what I would say is make sure that you have enough money that you and your family can live on for a little while. Like don't put your kids in danger of being out on the street just because you have this whim of making microprocessor-based carpeting. Or, like, yes, follow your dream, but, do it wisely. Don't just go out and without any kind of a contingency plan, I guess.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, and especially not realizing how risky it can be to start a business. Even if you have all the money in the world, the best plan in the world, sometimes it doesn't work out. So making sure that you're not sacrificing your entire family or the loved ones in your life to kind of chase this dream that you have is important.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be able to feed my family based on this, and that's great. But so I have a 10-year-old car. I don't care. I guess some people get wealthy, but hasn't been there for me.
Yeah, well, a lot of times health. A lot of times people say health is wealth. So
that's true.
Might be one of the healthiest people that people know. So I would definitely agree with that. So one of the next things I wanted to ask, because we have a lot of different CEOs on this podcast, so everything from people that are starting their business from their home, people that have, big, huge Fortune 500 companies, I wanted to kind of redefine like what it means to be a CEO. So we're asking everybody that's on the show, like, what does being a CEO mean to you? So Stephen, I wanted to ask you, how would you define being a CEO?
So actually, we spoke about this a little bit. I feel like a bit of a fraud calling myself a CEO. So yes, the business we have a couple employees and I employ about a dozen to 15 guides. So yes, I'm not only providing a service, I'm providing some employment for some people. So that's kind of a business owner. I don't know at what point you become a CEO. I think when you get out of touch is in my mind is when you're a CEO. But I like that you're redefining it, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But like you said, when you think of a Fortune 500 company, that's when you think of a CEO. But as smaller businesses, we are CEOs.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, that's what we're definitely kind of hoping to do, to have different types of quote unquote CEOs on the podcast. So definitely you being able to provide all of that opportunity for people that are working with you is definitely something that I've seen that a lot of people say demonstrates you being a CEO. So thank you for doing the awesome stuff. So Stephen, I appreciate you for taking some time out of your schedule. What I wanted to do was kind of give you the mic, so to speak, to see if there's anything additional you wanted to tell us as far as your business, or any pieces of advice or words of wisdom that you can give for other CEOs. And lastly, want to know how best people can get a hold of you.
Okay. I wish I had some real awesome words of advice for people, but I really don't. I could tell you what works for me, but ultimately whatever works for you is going to be better. One of the things that people told me is, oh, you got to read all these business books and you got to see how other people do it. And while I think there's value to that, obviously knowing how to do accounting is valuable, but you really have to be true to yourself. And I think that especially as a small business, as an entrepreneur, you are what makes the business special. If you're opening up a dry cleaner, for example, and you're just like all the other dry cleaners, nothing separates you. So go with the ideas that you have. So that's my advice. Obviously when you become a Fortune 500 company, those go out the window. Then you have to do what the market says. Right. Let's see. And so the way to contact me is email's best, steve@fitpacking.com. But if you go to the Fitpacking website, and not everyone really will remember that. So our business is also called Fat Packing, which kind of says what it is. And if you look at Google AdWords, it doesn't lie. Twice as many people click on Fat Packing as they do on Fit Packing. But once you've been with us, nobody wants to tell their friends, I'm a fat packer. So
that's a good way. It draws them in, but they won't say anything.
That's right.
No, that's awesome.
You know what? People will not admit to what they click on, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what they do in the privacy of their computer, or their phone. So they definitely don't want people to know that. But it's important. I think it's a great point that you recognize that. You recognize that that's what draws people in, but they may not necessarily say that. I'm going fat packing today. So that's an incredible insight.
Well, thanks.
Awesome. Well, Stephen, I appreciate all the awesome things that you're doing, and how you're helping out, providing opportunities for so many people. And I thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to kind of speak with us. And I just hope that you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Well, thanks, Gresh. When this is over, I will spam my massive social network of 48 people with this.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
You have a good rest of the day.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
All right.